Welcome to the Green Hour on 900 AM WURD, Word on the Weekend, sponsored by Solia.
I am your host, Laura Lomax, and we are on the air every Sunday from 11 to 12. You can also find us online at www.900amwurd.com and in the community. My co-hosts are Michael Ledbetter and Dr. Paul Hopkins, and each week we bring clarity to the conversation about health and sustainability. We encourage clean living from the inside out. A centerpiece of this is maintaining a healthy lifestyle and getting informed about the connection between good health and what is happening in the world around you.
This includes what you consume, what you wear, what products you use on your body, how you clean your home, what you drive, what you purchase, the decisions you make every day. And now your host, Laura Lomax.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I know we've all had this conversation about children. They seem to be like a different type of child these days. They're sort of irreverent. They know everything. They can get on your computer or your iPad and find their way around. So, you know, there's something special about children today. There's something, well, I say special, some people say problematic, disruptive, etc. But today, as a Mother's Day gift, we have Adele Brand and her daughter, Deandra Brand, co-authors of Enlightened Indigo Child. Mm-hmm. And they're going to give us a perspective on children from a mother's standpoint, a parent standpoint, but also it's for us to sort of use this information to sort of deal with the child within ourselves as well. So it's for everybody. Mm-hmm. We got Adele. Welcome.
Hi, we're right here.
Excellent. Welcome,
Happy
Adele.
Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Same to you. Just briefly, Adele.
Your show on this special day to share all this information with all the parents out there. And
Exactly.
hopefully there are some children listening as well to give them clarity to help them on their path.
Exactly. Thank you, Adele. Just if I can give a brief background, Adele is a holistic dentist, multifaceted integrative healer, and teacher of diverse complementary healing modalities. As the founder of Enlightened Dentistry, she has created a new paradigm of holistic dental care that encompasses healing the body, mind, and spirit. She is also the co-author of Enlightened Indigo Child, an essential book for highly sensitive children and their parents. Deandra, who is Adele's daughter and co-author of Enlightened Indigo Child, is a certified Reiki master teacher, a practitioner of reconnective healing, the reconnection, soma energetic sound therapy, neurolinguistic programming, quantum energy transformation, and has additional training in several other complementary healing modalities. She has integrated these modalities with her clairvoyant abilities to empower and heal her clients. So all of that said, Adele and Deandra, can you explain to us what is this Indigo Child and what are the characteristics?
Yes, I also wanted to point out that Deandra also has a master's degree in acupuncture. She just graduated from acupuncture school.
Excellent. Congratulations.
So she's also trained in things that are a little more conventional, so people should understand everything that she does is not just metaphysical healing.
Gotcha.
Okay, but anyway, indigo children. It's a term that's been around for a long time, and it refers to the large numbers of children and some adults that have been born in the last 20 years or so that have high sensitivities, usually emotional and physical sensitivities to the environment. These kids and adults may have some extraordinary innate gifts in music, art, usually math, some form of academia, or even psychic abilities. And it explains the phenomena of why so many of our kids are being diagnosed with learning disabilities, autism, ADD, ADHD, and other mental and physical illnesses. These kids are much more sensitive to the toxins in the environment, usually the food, the preservatives, the pesticides, the heavy metals, vaccines with the mercury and the aluminum, the EMFs from computers and cell phones and the microwaves. All these toxins in our environment, and these children, because they are more sensitive, they do need a holistic, nurturing environment to be healthy and medication-free.
Excellent. Mm-hmm. Excellent. Now, at what point, you say Deandra is an indigo child, at what point did you begin to consider her an indigo child?
You know, I've never even heard the term indigo child till she was a teenager, and her abilities, especially with her psychic, intuitive abilities, didn't really flourish until she became a teenager. But I'd say when she was a young child, she was definitely more sensitive than other kids. Like if we would go to family, like Thanksgiving, she would come home afterwards and say how so-and-so made her feel uncomfortable just by being in their environment, in their proximity. They didn't have to really do anything to her or say anything, but just being with them, how they just made her feel like they weren't nice people. And also when she was in school, she would pick up the energy from other children, and she would know when other kids didn't feel right, or if the teacher would yell at other children, she would feel that emotion in her of the fear when the teachers would yell. So I say her whole life she's been more sensitive, even to medications, like when she had adverse reactions to antibiotics, or even when she was born, she couldn't drink conventional formula. We had to find what she couldn't drink. We ended up with goat's milk, and that seemed to be the best choice for her. And even soy milk was not a good choice. And it was all her life. She was highly sensitive, but these other abilities of intuitive psychic abilities came out much later when she was a teenager, and it just developed over time.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Can I ask Deandra a question? Deandra,
Absolutely.
So what does it mean to you to be, I guess, to have this designation as an indigo child? What does that mean to you?
It means that there's a higher consciousness, that there's a divine order of things, and I can see all that. It's really helpful when you can talk to angels and talk to your puppy and all that stuff, and it just gives there's an order to things for me.
Right. Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
I think this ability to speak to other living things, whether they be animals or plants, it's sort of an enriched sensory perception. Some people might call it an extrasensory perception, but we call it enriched because I think we all have it within us, but unfortunately it gets squashed down as a young person, and because people say, oh, you shouldn't do that, or you can't do that, it's not right. But it's there, and we need to encourage it and let it flourish in our children so that they can be well-balanced and happier and healthier.
Mm-hmm. And Adele, this is Dr. Paul. I'm a naturopath doctor here on the Green Hour. And I just had a question for the family that's listening. Give them a little clarity on what the indigo really means with the name of indigo, which I recommend, which I understand it to be the aura around the child. Is that correct?
That's sort of
Is
not
that
really true.
So what?
The indigo-ness of the child, it was a term that was created by a woman called, her name was Nancy Tapp in the 1960s. She was a synesthete. A synesthete person is somebody who has that enriched sensory perception where they can, when we see colors, she can see colors and hear colors. They have their own sound, or she can taste numbers. So she had worked with children her whole life. She did have that enriched ability, and she noticed somewhere around then, about in the late 60s, that the children were coming to her that they had a life force color. It's not an aura. It's a life force color that's within, that stays with you forever. Aura can change depending how you're feeling that day. If you're angry, your aura is going to change to a different color than when you're, say, happy. So the life force color is fairly stable, and indigo people and indigo children have this life force color running through them. Unfortunately, most of us cannot see it. So, we have to go by other characteristics, like higher sensitivity, being very heart-centered, having sort of an innate wisdom about them. We have a whole chapter in the book about the characteristics of indigo children and indigo people.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the young people that I know, the little children, they seem so wise. And I remember we had Dick Gregory on several months ago, and he talked about his grandchildren. They don't want to say thank you. I mean, they have sort of their own mind. And he mentioned that they were indigo children. I think a lot of children that we see as sort of, just so super bright and super...
Right, they turned up.
Exactly, amped up.
But it also, this is Michael Ledbetter, Adele. It sounds like the children, these indigo children, are really sensitive to the environment. I find that very interesting. Like they are born closer to the earth and the environment, and they're sensitive to it. Is that true? Is that a true
That is
observation?
very true. The Indigo children, I guess, and all of us as well, we all need to connect to Earth, Mother Nature, Mother Earth, because that's where our energy is really coming from. It keeps us grounded. The Earth, there is a whole topic out there called earthing, and it explains the phenomena, how there is an excess number of electrons on the surface of the Earth. And you and us, and we all have free radicals running through us. So if we connect to Earth, these free electrons will neutralize the free radicals in our body. It's a free antioxidant. It's really wonderful at healing people from physical problems. And it's important for Indigo children to get out there so that they can connect to Earth. The other thing that's really important is something called the Schumann resonance, which is the frequency of the planet. For years and years, the Schumann resonance was at 7.9 hertz, that's cycle per second. That refers to the actual vibration of the planet, not the rotation. And within the last 25 years, I believe the Schumann resonance is up to about 15 hertz now. It's almost doubled. So if we don't connect to the planet we live on, we're going to be sick. So we need to go out as often as we can, hug a tree, go skin to skin with the grass as best you can, and breathe and let the energy flow through you.
So yeah, these are some of the I guess tips or suggestions from the book that are so simple. The grounding that you're talking about. Go outside, and I guess you say for 15, 20 minutes without your shoes on, in the dirt. Or in the grass.
In the grass, right.
It grounds you. And this thing about the
ocean, you can literally jump in the lake, and that will heal you.
Exactly.
I think when
we talk about that also.
We talked about that.
We talked about that.
Saryadiel from Israel talked about actually physically touching the ground with your feet could actually heal you.
Right.
Like there's a transfer of energy from the dirt into the human body that will actually heal you. There was something that we talked about.
We do that also when you're dealing with grounding yourself. We say to absorb the sun in the morning, helps to open up the pineal gland, grounds you, lines up the chakras, endocrine system. Yeah, we can do a lot with that. Yeah.
So if we don't stay quote unquote grounded, our frequency, what you're saying, Adele, is that the frequency of the earth is not what it was 15 years ago?
Absolutely not.
And so that we need to stay connected.
The challenge is that we all live in boxes. We live in apartments. We live in houses. We drive to work in a box, whether it be a car or a train or a bus, and then we work in a box.
Right.
So we rarely, if ever, touch nature unless you live out in nature, like on a farm. And
right.
you're with it regularly. So that's why there's so many health issues, aside from Indigo children, just for the general population. There is a disconnect from the planet that you're living on, and you certainly cannot be healthy if you are disconnected from the planet that you live on.
Right, right. Mm-hmm. Some say that there's been an increase in the treatment for ADD, autism, ADHD, etc., because there's more diagnosis and there's better treatment. We have a sort of a different viewpoint on the Green Hour. But we'd like to hear your perspective. Is there, in fact, an increase of children that have attention deficit disorder and better treatment, or is this something else going on?
Well, there is an increase in diagnosis, and some people might, in the holistic community, might say there's an increase in diagnosis because the pharmaceutical companies want to sell more drugs and they want to keep these kids quiet in the classroom. But when you get down to the base of it, the biggest reason why these kids are being diagnosed with these problems is because the Indigo children do learn a little bit different than we might have learned, because they have that enriched sensory perception. And what's happening is these kids also are more sensitive to the environment, to all the toxins. They're constantly being exposed to fluoride from the water system, and it's not just the water that we're drinking, it's in all the foods and drinks that are made from it. So when you think about it, we're really getting an excess of fluoride, and fluoride is extremely bad because it's a neurotoxin, number one, and number two, it does calcify the pineal gland, which is so important for sleep patterns and for intuitiveness. And you just want to find ways to get that out of the diet. The other issue, of course, for children with the toxins would be mercury. As a holistic dentist, I'm very aware of the mercury issue going on, the controversy. If your children have mercury fillings, you really want to get them out of their mouth because the mercuries are constantly releasing a toxin of mercury, and as we said before, it is also a neurotoxin, causing all kind of health problems in our children and in adults as well. That being said, if you do get them out, you should go to a holistic dentist who understands how to take it out properly and safely so that you don't get exposed to all the aerosol when the mercury is drilled out. The other issue, of course, these kids are being exposed to much more EMFs than we ever were. When we grew up, I don't think there were a heck of a lot of EMFs. Microwaves didn't exist. Computers were almost non-existent. The cell phones were not around. You know, all these things add up to disrupting our electrical pathways in our body when you're exposed to EMFs. And, of course, then there's the food. The food's a really big topic.
Right.
You know, we always say if it comes in a box with a list of ingredients you can't pronounce, don't eat it. Right. And if it comes in any sort of container where the shelf life is longer than your life, you probably should not eat it because it's not real food. It is just a list of chemicals that have been combined very nicely to form something that's tasty. And then some enrichment has been added back with some artificial chemical vitamins to make it feel like you're getting some nourishment out of it, but it's certainly not real food, and you want to try and eat food that's real food and whole food, you know, fruits and vegetables and that kind of thing. And also now we have to be even more careful because of the pesticides are in everything, the GMOs are everywhere. We don't even know which foods are being GMO'd. And of course, also the other thing is the vaccines in the children, because the mercury and the aluminum in the vaccines is creating a lot of problems in our kids. And these kids, you know, I think by the age of 5, they've already had like over 22 vaccines.
Right.
When we were kids, I don't think we had even half of that amount. Right. And these kids are much more sensitive, and everything that's in those vaccines, preservatives, are neurotoxic. So we have to just make smarter decisions, be conscious and be aware, and make better decisions for our children to be a healthier, happier child.
Right. We're going to take a brief commercial break, Adele, and we'll be right back.
Of all the elected officials that you will ever vote for, the ones that will probably impact your life the most are the ones that you probably know the least about. Hi, this is Sarah Lomax-Reese, President and General Manager of Word Radio, here to talk to you about the election of judges in the city of Philadelphia. If you're like most people, you might believe that you only have to be concerned about a judge if you're a criminal or a cop, but nothing could be further from the truth. Judges make decisions that affect the lives of ordinary people like you and me in ways that you might rarely imagine. For example, judges may make decisions about what kind of foods your children get to eat and where they go to school. Judges can also determine how the police interact with you in your neighborhood and when they can enter your home. Judges can even affect your life after you die by determining who gets your possessions or even who gets to bury you, as they did in the case involving the late James Brown. So let's get real. Judges are involved in virtually every aspect of your life, but the sad fact is that we know almost nothing about the people who become judges, nor about the processes that allow them to ultimately be referred to as Your Honor. And even worse still, there are people who want to keep it that way. There are people who benefit from most of us being in the dark about the judicial selection process. Here at Word, we are committed to changing the paradigm by making sure that you are not only informed about the people seeking judgeships, but that you are also activated and mobilized to vote with intelligence on Election Day. So from time to time over the next several weeks, you'll hear commentaries like this one designed to make you a better judge about those individuals who want to become a judge. So keep listening. Together we can make this election matter, and maybe even surprise a few people who aren't expecting us to be paying attention.
Hi, I'm Dr. J. Stephen Blake, board certified in gastroenterology. Colon cancer is the second leading cause of cancer deaths in the country, but African Americans leads, especially men. Colon cancer is preventable with timely screenings. No insurance restricts you in your choice in selecting who does your screenings. At Blake GI & Associates, quality care is our commitment. Choose Blake GI Associates, the colon doctors. Give us a call at 215-849-4902 or visit us at jsblake.com. Like us on Facebook, Blake GI the colon doctors, and follow us on Twitter at Scope for Hope, PA.
Welcome back to the Green Hour on 900 AM WURD, Word on the Weekend, sponsored by Solia, and now your host, Laura Lomax.
Welcome back. We are here this morning with Adele and Deandra Brand, co-authors of The Enlightened Indigo Child, and we're talking about detoxifying your life, like we always do on the Green Hour. Adele,
Yes.
I wanted to just bring up something that you said in the book that I thought was so interesting about fluoride. It is the only additive put in our water that is meant to treat humans and not the water.
That's right.
I think that's
Scary, isn't it?
It's very scary. I mean, it sort of begs the question: what next? You said there were some studies about putting lithium in the water to sort of prevent bipolar disorder.
Yeah, and just keep the population a little bit under control.
Under control. Under control. So I want to get Deandra in here.
Sure.
Deandra, what do you tell children that are, considered, behavior problems, hyperactive, or gifted, even on the other end? What do you tell those children who feel a little bit out of step with everyone else?
They're not alone. I've been in the steps too. I've been right there, I was educated in the public school system. I was right there with them, and they're not alone. And that there are other ways of living. It doesn't have to be this way. And I go through how to ground them, how to detox on a physical level, how to detox on a spiritual level, actually explore the spiritual. Most people don't talk about that.
Right. Now, how do you tell, I guess for little children, that what do you tell them, small children?
Usually I actually speak to them on a psychic level. I don't speak to them on a physical level because sometimes they don't always communicate the same way we communicate. And I tell them that it's not scary. It's all okay.
Excellent.
And we connect them to the grid, which is an etheric field around the Earth and connects with other indigos, actually.
Okay.
Wow. Adele, this is Michael Lippett. I have a question. These kids, and when they come up and they have these special capabilities, and they get misdiagnosed and have to have Ritalin or some pharmaceutical given to them to calm them down. How do you spot these kids at an early age? What are some of the things that will let you know that this child is special?
Well, my belief system is every child is special and unique, and you have to as a parent, you have to believe in the strength of your child and the beauty and the glory of who they are. And it's one thing to go and get diagnosed by a professional, and I use the word professional loosely here in quotes, or by the teacher saying that your child has a problem. That's great. That's their belief system. But no one knows your child better than you do. And when you go from that viewpoint, you can really take this thing to a whole different level. So what I tell parents in general is, let's step back to perhaps before they were actually labeled with something. Remember when your child was younger and they were fine, so to speak, what happened between then and now? And when they start thinking about it, they think about the vaccines, then they think about emotional traumas, or they think about all the toxins in the food, and then I speak with the parents about perhaps working on that philosophy and getting these kids detoxed. And if they can get these kids detoxed, then they can take them down a different path where they can be much healthier and happier. Right. But I think the parents have to be on board and understand that the problem is that a lot of parents are very quick to agree with the professional that their child has a problem, and we don't do that at all.
Not at all. That's right. No, that was just agreeing. That is exactly what we do. I see more children that are, after we sit with them, we have more response to them because we start approaching it from a arts and sciences and creativity aspect of them, and they come alive. It's like the night and day.
To find their strengths and work with that and make them feel good about themselves.
Exactly.
But now that they've been labeled, they feel like there's something wrong with them.
Exactly.
Wow.
That's a terrible place to build on for a child.
Adele, did when you found out your child was special, did it change you during the process of finding out how special she was?
I've always believed in the greatness of my children. I do have another child as well. And no matter what anybody's ever said about her, teacher-wise, I have to take it all with a grain of salt. because they, like I said, they don't know my kid as well as I know my kid. When Deandra was 5 years old or 4 years old, she was tested for the gifted program, and she was in the 98th percentile. And somehow in kindergarten, when she was in kindergarten, because she had such a horrible, horrible teacher who yelled at her, and not yelled at her, yelled at other students and made her feel so unbalanced and uncomfortable, the teacher suggested that Deandra go into a slower class, a class for children with learning disabilities, because she was just not keeping up because of her sensitivities. Now, I know my kid. My kid's been, I know her. I've had it since birth. And to me, it was just more of a reflection of the teacher and her belief system, and it really had nothing to do with my child. So I had to sort of fight against the system and work other ways to be my child's best advocate, to keep her in a place where she could be with children of her own abilities and to be more positive about herself. I mean, having gone through the public school system, it's not easy at all,
right,
especially in New York City public school system. But we have done that, and she has done extremely well. And as I said before, she does have a master's degree now in acupuncture. She's very accomplished, and not just in the academia realm, but as well as in the spiritual realm, because she does have that sixth sensibility, the psychic ability, where she's a clair everything child, where she can speak and communicate with many different realms and work with other realms for energy healing to help people to be well. And, she's taking her abilities to a whole nother level by integrating the spiritual aspects and metaphysical aspects with the conventional of acupuncture to help people heal. So you have to find your child's strength and work with it. You can be the new paradigm for children. Be the leader that everyone is looking for. Don't just follow the sheeple mentality.
The sheeple. I like that. The sheeple, people, people and sheep. I got to take my hat off to you, because as a mother, you really stood behind your child 150%. And oftentimes it is easier to sort of go along with what the teachers say and automatically feel like, their word is gospel and that you have a problem on your hand. In your book, you talk about the importance of living an intuitive-based life. What is that, and how do you live that?
Yeah, Deandra would be better for that.
Deandra.
Okay, so that showing and knowing that there's a divineness of it all, and knowing that there's a balance, and that we have to live in harmony and change our paradigm of what is. And so it's just living in a state of harmony of who we are and speaking our truth.
Right.
And I think the bottom line with that also is we are all one. We often say, as we heal our children, we heal ourselves, because the children are our future. If our children are going to be diagnosed with labels of incurable illnesses and they're going to be medicated for life, what is our future going to be like? Who's going to be taking care of us as we get a little bit older and we need some help? We have to think a little more progressively and proactively to make our children and help our children to be well. They are here to help us to have that wake-up call, to realize that there is a new consciousness on the planet, and this is their cry for us to take notice, because everybody wants to help their children.
Right.
You just have to be a little more proactive to do so.
Well, how do you get the school systems or the healthcare system to adopt some of your philosophy? Because right now, it's a track for medication and treatment, and there really isn't a lot of room for, I guess, what you would call alternative approaches to care. How do you get this institutionalized somehow?
Oh, it's really difficult to change a system like that. I think a good place to start is to educate the people in the system. Perhaps give them a copy of our book, or there are similar books like it, that they should realize that the children are our future, and we need to help them to heal. Medicating them is not a solution. It's just treating a symptom, but is not healing anybody. And I think that's the best way. And just do what you need to do to get your child where it needs to get. Even if you have to homeschool them, pair yourself up with other parents that are maybe thinking about doing that as well. And, it has to be done grassroots on some level, because it's difficult to change the bureaucracy of what is out there right now.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I just want to say it definitely comes with the awareness. The parents have to be aware of what's going on. As we talk here on the Green Hour so many times about the food first, you talk about the vaccinations, we talk about all the effects of the industry and how it affects everyone. So definitely it's awareness. I believe that we have to, books like Adele has will inspire parents to be more educated first and to know what's going on around them, because so many people don't know what's going on. They have not a clue. They have not a clue.
And any authority is like gospel.
Yeah, that's the only thing they have that they understand. So, the scripture was that, children shall perish for lack of knowledge or understanding. So you gotta get the knowledge first. We have to get the knowledge.
I want to open up the phone lines to callers. Give us a call, 215-634-8065, if you have any questions for Adele or Deandra, or toll free 1-866-361-0900.
Yeah, I'm truly fascinated that these indigo children can be born with this sensitivity of the environment and their surroundings.
Isn't every child?
Yeah.
I mean,
to the sensitivity that I'm understanding that these children have, it would take years of learning for people to be aware of the connection between themselves and the environment.
Yeah.
If you go back and look at some of the people, if it's monks or the Essenes that study the environment and the earth, it took them years to come to the consciousness of the connection between themselves and the earth. For a child to be born with that automatically is phenomenal.
They're just tuned into the earth. That's right.
Well,
and I can say that when I have to do assessments on children also who have been diagnosed, technically what they say, like she said, use the term very loosely. When they come through, I tend to have a great time with them because you're just tapping into that element that they're wide open like sponges. But it's the fact that the systems that are being taught are just so slow. When you're connected to the earth, you see it all. It's a way of like just a higher psychic level of communication. And when you're tying in, trying to do old systems and old books and old ways and things they're doing, these kids are coming in turned up.
Yeah.
They already have the answer. They pick up an iPod like this, and just go right at it.
When you look at quantum physics, quantum mechanics, they come to the same conclusion that there's oneness out there.
Absolutely.
It took scientists a long time to get to that point of quantum physics, and that's what I'm trying to say, that that understanding is not something that's just lightly given. It takes years and years of understanding, and for these children to have that, to know that we're all connected, to have that understanding at a young age.
Well, they're tapped in.
Right.
They're tapped into the truth. Right. Exactly. Let me say, Adele, you had your own challenges as well. You struggled with Lyme disease for a period of time, and did that affect Deandra?
Yeah, so that's how we got into this whole thing of energy healing and metaphysical stuff. I did have Lyme disease. I was diagnosed 2 years after I got the disease, and by then I was really pretty much a vegetable, and I couldn't walk, I couldn't stand, I had so much damage throughout my entire body. Yeah. But I managed to get over it and get better, but I was still stuck with a lot of aftermath and damage from the Lyme disease. So what finally was able to heal me was detoxing, and that's what we write about it in the book as well, and then energy healing, energy medicine. And that's how Deandra actually developed her clear everything abilities. When she was about 14, I was getting phenomenally well. I was like a new person. She had never seen Mom being healthy before. So she wanted to learn what I had learned. So what I had learned was mostly from these energy healing classes. So you don't need a college degree to go to them. And so Deandra would come with me to the classes. You just pay your money and you're in. And she was the youngest person in the class at the time. And within 2 years, she was starting to see the energy field and work with it for energy healing, but actually able to communicate with it. There was a series of many different classes we took, but between all of that and I guess I was encouraging her on some level, it just developed. And that's how I was able to get past all the damage from my Lyme disease, by detoxing, rebuilding, and using energy work to change my field or my body from an energetic perspective. As you were saying before about the quantum field, we are all energy. And when we realize that, when we get past the physical part of who we are and get into the energy part, you can make miracles, literally.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
one thing that really concerns me is that I look around and I see all of the electronic pollution. That's what's really building. You see on the highways and even in neighborhoods, I've seen on top of poles that stick straight up in the air. There's electromagnetic, these Wi-Fi poles and things that are basically just kicking off EMFs. So you definitely know that somewhere this is, you know, we don't know the long-term effects, but we know what it does to the cells. We know it tears down the structure of the cells. So I look around just the other day and I was looking at places like parks. I was looking at, you know, playgrounds, and you see them very close to these areas.
Right.
So we really have to talk about that EMF.
Yeah.
You know.
And ways to...
They're also right in your home. I mean, you know, you've computers in your home and
Absolutely.
cell phones and cordless phones and microwave ovens. It's there.
And most importantly, the meters now, because you have electronic meters. You have the electric
that's a big
meters.
topic.
Yeah, big topic, because you know your electric meters in your house are now Wi-Fi. So when you have now electronic, if the whole entire block now has electronic meters that are kicking off EMFs, that becomes now a hotspot. You understand? So, for example, and can you imagine if that's just one block? Could you imagine an entire apartment complex?
Wow, we're going to have
So it brings on another
we're going to come
topic.
back on this topic, but we have to take a brief commercial break, and we will be right back.
Running a business without being incorporated is like walking a tightrope without a net. One little misstep could cost you your entire business, your personal assets, and even your life savings. But no matter how big or small your business is, you can quickly protect yourself and your family by incorporating or forming an LLC. Call LLC.com today, and we'll get you started by sending you our important free guide. 1-800-952-9749. At LLC.com, we don't offer legal or financial advice. We specialize in making incorporations simple, quick, and easy. In fact, we've been helping businesses do just that for over 100 years. Running a business without a safety net really is putting your whole future on the line, and your family's future. Find out how simple it is to protect your personal assets by incorporating. Request your free guide by calling 1-800-952-9749. This is information you really need to know. That number again is 1-800-952-9749. 1-800-952-9749.
There's lots of noise out there about American natural gas production and what it means for Pennsylvania. Is it safe? Will it bring good jobs here? What does it mean for today and the future? That's why we created learnaboutshale.org, a website where it's easy to find the answers. At learnaboutshale.org, you can quickly see questions others have asked and post your own. We give straightforward, fact-based answers. Learnaboutshale.org is presented by the Marcellus Shale Coalition.
Welcome back to the Green Hour on 900 AM WURD, Word on the Weekend, sponsored by Solea. And now your host, Laura Lomax.
Welcome back, everyone. Our guests are Idell and Deandra Brand, and we're talking about detoxifying. We're going to say more broadly. We're talking about indigo children, but we're really talking about how to detoxify your life to create a healthy environment for yourself and your children. And we were talking about electromagnetic pollution. Dr. Paul, you were commenting.
Yeah, I was commenting before we left that, talking about the electronic meters now. You have all the electric meters and even the water. All of it goes by Wi-Fi now for them to actually accumulate. But now that's creating a band. That creates a band of electronic pollution that's inside your home. It's right in your home now. And then you already got the Fios. You already got the big old, 60-inch.
We're going to have to...
I really...
And all the different things. But the point we were trying to really make without getting supersized in this is that it is a big issue.
Right.
It is a big issue because we know the effects of what it does to the cells. Even when they had Johnny Cochran, everyone knows that Johnny Cochran had this brain tumor. But there was also a study done where there was one woman who had the foam, and the cancer was in the shape of the antenna that she used to hold against her head all the time. So we have to just kind of wake up with this whole thing, because it does cause brain clusters or cancer clusters in areas around our schools and all those areas. We got to be aware. We got to wake up.
I think we've reached a point where technology is becoming evil. Becoming evil to the human body and to our environment. I mean, we've reached a point where all this technology is causing health issues.
Is Adele and Deandra there?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
We're just kind of, this is a hot topic
This
for
the
us.
green hour
No
now.
pun intended.
You know, and the last one I just want to talk about was just called RFIDs, which is radio frequency identification, which is the little chips that go around on anything. They're putting them in tires now. This is what is used to track and trace things all over.
These are
it's being used. Yeah, it's used in one of the largest GPS system, but it's also used for knowing information. You have passive and you have ones that are active, which means that some of them you have to activate, which actually shows that they accumulate information. Everywhere you go, it accumulates information. You got an RFID chip in some of the credit cards and things like that. So all of this adds up.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to, we have a couple callers. We have one caller. We have Coca from Germantown. Welcome, Coca.
Yes, welcome. Praising our Creator for this enlightenment, and happy Mother's Day, everybody.
Hey,
Thank you.
Happy Mother's Day.
A quick question. If a person becomes blind due to glaucoma, can that be reversed?
Okay, thank you, Coca.
Okay, thank you, Coca.
Thank you.
This is my personal opinion, okay? Because I had macular degeneration when I had the Lyme disease, and I reversed it. My personal opinion, every illness and disease in the body can be reversed.
Absolutely.
You have to educate yourself and do what you need to do to heal it, detox it, change the energy field around it, and things can be reversed.
Yep.
That's the spirit I like.
That's it. Absolutely. We always believe that the body regenerates 11 times faster than it gets sick. So as long as it's on a cellular level, you have the ability to regenerate. Everyone has a specific situation. You have to look at each person individually. But structural issues are a challenge. But yes, we believe everything can be turned around 11 times faster than it gets sick. The body feeds the body, and the body in turn heals itself.
Let's talk about some of those things to deal with this electromagnetic frequency, this all the toxins in our environment. Adele, can you talk about some of the ways you identify in your book? You talk about detoxifying your home, detoxifying your body, your relationships. Let's talk a little bit about
a couple hours. Okay.
You have 10 minutes.
In general, try and use products that are more natural. We say if it's not edible, if you can't eat it, you don't want to put it in your home and breathe it. You certainly don't want to put it on your skin as cosmetics or anything like that. So, like I myself use on my skin every day, I use either olive oil or hemp oil or coconut oil. I don't use anything. Even from the health food store, if it comes in a container with all these other alcohols and God knows what else is added, I don't use any of that because you would not eat it. And if you're putting it on your skin, you're going to absorb it and it's going into your body. And same thing for your home. You don't want to use chemicals that you're going to be breathing in that are highly toxic. In terms of EMFs in the home, everyone should have EMF protectors on their person. In their home, put it on your cell phone, put it on the side of your microwave. There are so many different kinds out there. You just have to go online and Google it. You'll find tons of different types.
Wow.
Yeah,
And in terms of detoxifying emotional stuff in your life, if you have people, you have to know where to put up the borders. We have techniques. If people have really irked you and caused emotional traumas, you can write them letters. But, get out all the emotion on that letter, and then after you've done that, just burn the letter or rip it up. Do not mail it to them. And if more emotions come up later, just do it some more. There are other simple techniques, like tapping technique, something called emotional freedom technique that can be used. You can work with a practitioner to do that, or certainly you can go on YouTube. There are plenty of YouTubes that explain how to do it, but it's always best to work with a professional in that area. Things like neuro-linguistic programming, where you just sort of change whatever trauma you've had, you sort of put it in a different place in your mind so it's not so prominent and not so, affecting you. All these things are simple. You can go to a therapist for years, but that will take years, and you're just going to be be dwelling in all the misery in your life. So we're not big on therapists, although they do have their
I know the audience like that one.
Yeah. Well, there are better ways to get rid of this stuff.
Right.
You can work with an intuitive metaphysical healer such as Deandra herself. She helps a lot of people to do this because she is certified in all those different modalities. Plus, she can actually see the energy field, which makes her even more effective because she can see the trauma that you may not even remember that you have repressed from 30 years ago, and she can bring that to the surface and help you remove it.
Adele, this is Michael. I got a question for Deandra.
Sure.
Deandra, we've had a couple of conversations on the Green Hour about the thoughts that you have in your brain and who you associate yourself with. How important is everyday thoughts and relative to your life and your surroundings? How much does your actual thoughts in your brain affect your everyday life?
What you think about is what you bring into your life. There's an idea called law of attraction. If you ever watched the movie The Secret, they talk about that a little bit. And law of attraction is what you think about is what you bring in. So if you change your thinking, you change what you believe and what is possible, or just a frequency of the kind of people you're with, you can change your environment. So like people do self-love, where they look in the mirror every day and they say, I love you, and this unconditional state. They can actually attract more loving circumstances, more loving people in their life.
Wow. Deandra, while we're talking, can you give your information if people wanted to get in contact with you?
Sure. You can go to DeandraHealer.com for metaphysical intuitive healing. We can do it on the phone or Skype or a personal session with me. You can also get our book on EnlightenedIndigoChild.com.
And the information at EnlightenedIndigoChild.com, there's information to our website if you wanted to contact either one of us. DeandraHealer.com is Deandra's website for her metaphysical healing. I'm the BrandWellnessCenter.com for integrative healing and holistic dentistry. And, of course, the book is EnlightenedIndigoChild.com if you wanted to find out more information about indigo children. If you go to our website as well, and you buy a book from there, you can get a signed copy. Otherwise, it's available through Amazon and other bookstores.
Well, I got mine Kindle, the wireless version, which is probably a no-no because it is on an iPad. But I wanted to get it quickly, so I downloaded it, and it's fantastic. I mean, it has all of it's a real guide for living beyond just the idea of the enlightened indigo child. I think it really is something that everybody can take away something from. I want to ask Deandra as well as Adele, what do you tell the mothers out there? What would you tell them? Give them some advice on how to be good mothers.
Basically, my bottom line is believe in the greatness and the uniqueness of your child. Work with their strengths and go from there. But you have to educate yourself. You can't go to the doctors and let them, take over raising your child and medicating your child. You have to be your child's best advocate. That is my belief, and I think if you go from there from a place of loving your child and wanting them to grow and be as healthy as they can be, then they will be. But that being said, the parent also has to be the model for that. You can't tell your kids they can't eat junk food and then you're going out and eating McDonald's and chocolate cake. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You have to walk the talk.
Yep.
That would be mine. I don't know, Deandra, what would you tell parents?
That usually the kid is right.
What?
Because you have to know that the kid speaks the truth.
Right.
Because most time people are like about the teacher knows best, the doctor knows best. Usually the kid knows what's going on. So it's really important to just believe your kid and actually have faith in your child.
That's major.
Wow.
That's a big one.
Listen.
Listen. Exactly. Don't dismiss them.
It needs guidance, but still listen. Yes.
Well,
absolutely.
Adele and Deandra, I want to thank you both so much for this wonderful Mother's Day gift to us and our listening audience.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Wow.
Thank you.
That was
amazing.
Yes.
I really do.
I love the fact that we are talking about this issue because we are dealing with our young children and how we bring forth these new children. You know, they are coming through and they are enlightened.
Yep.
They are wide awake.
Yep.
When I have more kids gravitating towards naturopathy than anything. They want to know what does that herb do? What is that herb? What is that for? They're asking these questions and you just keep feeding them. Just feed them. They're like sponges. But they gravitate towards truth.
Right.
And that's what it is. It's a truth vibration that's going on right now. Mm-hmm. That children and people too, but are gravitating towards children. I mean, you know,
and adults
in training. As I always say, we have to understand that they still need guidance.
Right.
You know, a child still needs to be guided. You know, it's how you raise a child up in his ways, and he'll walk that all his days in his life. You know, so we have to still keep it in perspective, mm-hmm. but let the child rebirth all those things that needs to come through that the Creator's putting it through.
Right.
Exactly. We've been on there for almost 2 years, and I've never had guests on that get it like this.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they get it all. Their whole life style, their understanding. I mean, it was almost like listening to the Green Hour.
Right.
But I think back at us.
Exactly. But I believe that it came through challenges, and when you come through challenges, they went through the Lyme disease, the mm-hmm. issues of ADD, or saying that your mm-hmm. child can't do this and you can't do that. Mm-hmm. Just like a lot of people are. They're having challenges not knowing what to do with the children. Right. Do I put them in the school? Do I listen to this person? Do I even trust this system that's going on right now?
Exactly.
So all of these things, people don't know any other alternative than to move forward. So that's why they have to do things like reach out of the box. You got to come out the box.
Exactly.
So, but it starts with the body. You got to get the body right. Get the mind right by feeding the body. Get these chemicals out of here. Spirit, mind, and body.
Exactly.
In that order.
Exactly.
That's the way it works.
The book, Enlightened Indigo Child, it has so much. And like we said, it's almost as though it's everything we talk about on the Green Hour is mm-hmm. encapsulated in those few pages. It's not that long, but it's really a guide for detoxifying your life. It's about indigo children, mm-hmm. but it's really for everybody, because I guess to be a good parent, you've got to understand and lead by example, like what you're talking about, Dr. Paul.
Absolutely.
So this book was really phenomenal. I really highly recommend it.
Excellent.
A couple things. One that in terms of how to detox. One, in terms of your relationships, that they said was just so wise. If you don't have anything good to say,
don't say it.
Don't say anything. Right. I mean, it's so simple.
Hey, you know what?
But it's huge.
I'm gonna tell one of Grandma's things on Mother's Day. You know what she said? You got 2 ears and 1 mouth to do double the listening and half the talking.
That's
so
right.
Be quiet.
That's right. That's right.
And identify when you're hanging around people that are negative. If you spot somebody that's always talking negative, get away from them.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're catching their vibration.
Right.
And this thing about grounding is so important. And I mean, I know people turn up their nose when you say go outside without your shoes on. I mean, it's enough I get it.
Yeah.
I don't hardly like walking around my house without shoes.
Right. Well, another part of grounding.
It's important.
Yes, it is. Another part is standing in grass, but also the tongue to the roof of the mouth. That's a grounding point. Mm-hmm.
Also, taking a bath with salts
mm-hmm.
or clay.
Mm-hmm.
That's very grounding.
Mm-hmm.
It dilates your blood
mm-hmm.
vessels. It's very, very healing for you.
Everyone should do a cleanse. We're talking about constantly cleansing the body.
Yep.
With this threshold of chemicals that is raising, you do need to cleanse something all the time. You need to be doing something.
And that includes
mm-hmm.
the mind.
Yes. Yeah.
So that metaphysical piece that Deandra sort of tapped into,
right.
as well as Adele, that's
Right,
pretty amazing.
Yeah, we talked about some. Also, there's some herbs that help to just help to cleanse the mind and get your mind right. So yeah,
you always talking about that pineal gland.
Yeah,
give us an herb, doctor. Don't. Eyebright is an excellent one.
Okay. Eyebright. We talk about eyebright. It's good for the pineal gland. There's also an herb called pellitory, which was used.
You say pellitory?
Pellitory. It was actually used for a brain flush back in ancient times. So, these herbs were used to just clear the mind, just clear it out. Sometimes you need to hit the reset button,
right.
And then, bring it back a little bit, because, we're all under stress. And that stress we know is harder than the kidneys, so you got to watch it. The emotions are in the liver, but the stress, right on top of the kidneys are adrenal glands, so they firing off, fight or flight. People in a state of crisis all the time,
right.
And therefore lack of circulation. inflammation in those areas, now causing, issues like hypothyroidism, weight, temperature, pressure. All stuff is all over the place. So it's causing imbalances in the body, but there's an electromagnetic field around the body that has to be taken in consideration also. So all of these things that we're saying is just
and breathe deep.
You have to learn how to breathe.
Yeah.
Yes. Breathing is number one.
Yep.
That's the first way that, oxygen gets back into the cell. If you're breathing wrong, you're throwing the chest up first and sucking in the gut. You're all backwards.
Okay, I hear
Take
that
the
music.
air in, stomach comes out.
Exactly.
Got it?
That's right. And it's all there in Enlightened Indigo Child.
Yes.
For all those mothers out there, we want to say Happy Mother's Day, and we want to say thank you, God, for giving us the mother.
Yes, absolutely. Touche. I just had a real quick thing. I just want to say for those who we want to support states the Senate Bill 653. The Senate Bill 653, which is to say mandatory labeling for GMOs in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
All right. Take a look at that, y'all. Call your state representative or senator. Let's put that on point.
One more thing. Run for the Cure. That's today.
Yeah. Yeah, I think